In the year 1119 in Jerusalem, knights took a sacred vow. Tradition speaks of 9 founders, of the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon, though chronicles differ. Yet 2 names stand out with clarity: Hugh of Paynes, the first Grand Master, and Godfrey of St. Omer, his companion in arms. Men in white mantles with a red cross, who traded wealth for faith and life for a mission. Their fame crossed Christendom, and soon it echoed in a small county north of the peninsula. In 1128, some authors argue 1127, it was Countess Teresa, mother of Afonso Henriques, who entrusted Sarah Castle to the Templars. On the frontier line against Islam, it was the beginning of a presence that would mark forever the history of Portugal. Sora became the first Templar seat in Portugal. From there, they held the frontier. In the year 1139, at Ourique, the Templars stood beside Afonso Henriques, not yet king. Amid the clash of battle beneath their raised swords, he claimed the name King of the Portuguese. At his side rode a young squire, Gualdim Pais, the future master of the temple in Portugal. The crown took shape, the frontier hardened. In 1144, the test came. A major raid struck Soure, their first baptism of fire. In 1147, they fought with Afonso Henriques in the taking of Santarém. That same year, Lisbon also fell, a long siege with the king and northern crusaders. With Santarém and Lisbon secured, the Tagus became the realm's gateway. The Templars stood as frontier guards and allies of the crown. And there was more than the sword. In the 12th century, letters of credit and paying accounts appear. Deposit in one place, draw in another. They did not invent banking. They anticipated banking practices. With the Reconquest, mission and territory grew. After returning from a journey in the Holy Land, at the front stands Dom Gualdim Pais, provincial master. On the 1st of March 1160, he founds Tomar. In 1162, he grants its charter. Between 1170 to 1171, he reshaped Almar on a Tagus islet with double curtain walls, towers, and a keep. At Tomar, defense becomes method. The keep at the core, a battered talus, the alambor, at the base, a barbican guarding the approaches, concentric rings of walls. These fortresses were built for one purpose: to frustrate siege engines. The talus, a battered slope, blunts battering rams and pushes back assault towers and ladders. Double walls set crossing fire. Arrow slits shelter the crossbowmen. Dog-leg entries under the barbican's eye turn the gate into a killing corridor. Sloped faces deflect the stones of mangonels and trebuchets. At Almorol, water is the moat, the islet, a firing platform. Rams lose power. Towers stall. The enemy shifts to heavy logistics, under fire. Stone by stone, faith and craft secure the realm. In 1190, the Almohad Caliph Yaqub al-Mansur, ruler of Marrakesh, launched a devastating offensive. Tomar was encircled by thousands. Inside the walls, few knights. But Gualdim Pais did not yield. Chroniclers tell of arrows and fire at the Gate of Blood, a name born of local memory. They held under the banner. Tomar stood. The order's strength lay in its rule. Under the Bosant standard, no one leaves the field, while the banner still stands. Each knight kept 3 horses, breath for the heavy charge. Beside them, the Turcopoles, light cavalry and local archers. Retreat only by superior order or when clearly outmatched, a tradition later remembered as 3-to-1. Their prestige grew. In 1212, with Gomes Ramirez in command of Portugal's Templars, they fought at Las Navas de Tolosa, a victory that broke the Almohad host and turned the war. They pushed into Beira Baixa. At Idá Nova they settled. At Castelo Branco they fortified. They peopled the frontier and turned the backlands into living territory. They also took part in later campaigns of the Reconquest. from frontier raids to southern offensives. In the year 1217, the banners rose over Alcácer do Sal, a southern stronghold. The Templars fought beside the crown and Crusaders from the north. The fortress fell, securing the Sado line and pushing the frontier southward. And decades later, under King Afonso III, the fall of Silves completed the reconquest of Portugal. Yet their enduring legacy lay not only in victories, but in the fortresses and discipline that outlasted them. Early in the 14th century, the enemy was politics, not the desert. Ink and seals, not swords. On Friday, 13th of October, 1307, Philip the Fair set the trap. Sealed orders, dawn arrests. Charges piled high, confessions wrung out under torture. The crown's coffers ran thin, the debts ran deep. War and court drained the treasury. The temple had what the crown lacked: land, credit, silver. And the accusations followed: heresy, idolatry, spitting on the cross. In Avignon, Clement V bowed to pressure. At Vienne in 1312, the papal bull Vox in Excelso fell. The order of the temple was dissolved. Weeks later, the bull Ad Providum followed. The temple's goods were assigned to the Hospitallers. After the bulls, the trials did not spare him. In Paris in 1314, the last Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, stood bound to the stake. The flames rose around him, closing France's chapter of the temple in fire and silence, except in Iberia, where another path was forged. Portugal drew a line. Dom Dinis refused the order's ruin. He saw experience, engineering, discipline, networks, and administrative know-how, a treasure the kingdom could not lose. He did not see heresy, he saw inheritance. After helping raise the realm, it was the realm's turn to protect its poor knights. He remembered who had held the line when Portugal was young. A strategist's move: preserve it under a new name. Keep its men, its houses, its revenues, and the rule that bound them. The fruits would come in time. After long negotiation, on the 14th March 1319 in Avignon, Pope John XXII set his seal to the papal bull Edie ex Quibus, and the Order of Christ was born. In the kingdom, the temple's goods passed to the new order, not to the Hospitallers, and were placed at the crown's service. Its first seat was at Castro Marine, continuity secured. By the mid-1350s, the seat moved to Tomar, the old Templar heart beating again. Later, the order came under great captains of the realm, like Prince Henry. Without this legal shelter and these resources, the voyages of the 15th century would have been far harder to sustain. Out of ruin, a greater force. The Order of Christ became guardian of the maritime drive. First at Castro Marim, by the mid-1350s, based in Tomar. Along the Algarve, at Lagos, and at the Prince's town at Sagri, naval and logistical platforms took shape. The Red Cross moved to the sails. Ships ran south and west, Madeira, the Azores, the African coast, and beyond. At the Convent of Christ, the Templar Rotunda, the Charola, kept the symbolic heart of the order. Around the Charola in the 15th and 16th centuries, Manueline and Renaissance stone found its voice. Above all, the chapter window at Tomar. Rope spheres carved windows, heraldry. In 1983, it was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site. What had been a symbol of holy war became an emblem of global expansion. Portugal took shape behind a cross and a wall. The temple rode as one of the kingdom's lances. On the frontier they held, town by town, stone by stone. Their rule became the realm's spine. From the first charters to the Tagus Gate, they helped make a country. Politics tried to silence them. The name changed, the vow did not. Under the Order of Christ, the same current ran. Men and houses, revenues and rule, turned seaward. From king to king, from generation to generation, the crown leaned on that order. Garrisons on land, pilots at sea, the Red Cross on the sails. Frontier became horizon. The line of defense became a line of course. And so the story is one line unbroken. The temple that steadied a nascent kingdom. The order of Christ that steered a rising one. Stone kept vigil, and the cross on the sail went farther still.